Hey everyone, I am Rohan, and in this video I'll be talking about what Kaggle is all about and how can it be useful for you in your journey of data science. So I'll start by sharing in brief about what all things Kaggle offers and then take you with me on its website to explore more about it. So starting with what is Kaggle? It is an online community that connects over 11 million data scientists and machine learning enthusiasts across the world, and this number is just increasing day by day. It offers a no setup customizable Jupyter Notebooks environment. Also, it allows an access to GPUs at absolutely no cost and a huge repository of community published data and code. Now, moving on to the five main sections of Kaggle. Let's begin with the most famous one, which is the Kaggle competitions. Here, some big organizations, companies, universities, and many Kagglers host competitions on various type of topics, and hence you can find challenges for every interest level. Many of these competitions also offer different prizes depending on the level of competitions. For example, cash prizes, t-shirts from Kaggle, etc. Whereas some competitions are also knowledge based, which you can use and upskill yourself. And regardless of your knowledge level, you can always take part in such competitions as it is a great way to improve your data science skills. As you can also get access to what other Kagglers are doing for the same competition. And don't worry, I'll show you how exactly all these things are done on Kaggle in the exploration part of this video. Till that, let's look into some other sections of Kaggle. So here comes the dataset section, where range of different quality datasets can be found according to your interest, which you can start exploring and analyzing right away. You can also share such quality datasets and contribute to the community. And you get an option to share it with some specific collaborators as well to keep it private amongst yourself and still work on it together. And here comes the third section, that is code notebooks. It is a cloud computational environment for reproducible and collaborative analysis where you can explore and run machine learning codes without any need of manual setup, as there are already inbuilt libraries and modules that you may need for your most of the data science projects. Moreover, you can get free access to GPUs as I had mentioned earlier by just few clicks. And in a while, I'll show you how you can efficiently use these notebooks. But now, what if you are running into some problems while using Kaggle? Well, you can directly start a discussion using discussion section of Kaggle. And this community is pretty much helpful to solve any of your queries as soon as possible. And not only this, you can also take part in any of the ongoing discussions to share your insights and contribute in one more way to this community. And of course, if you're a newbie and want to learn data science from scratch, then Kaggle also offers different varieties of courses which you can grab depending on the tools you want to add in the bucket of your skill set. The great thing about it is that it's completely free of cost and also offers a completion certificate after you finish that respective course. Isn't it great? Well, we at Spartificial also provide training programs related to space and science domains, where you can learn specific skills of data science and right away implement it on the project that you are getting trained for. And if you perform well throughout our program, then you also get a chance for the internship. To know more about such project oriented programs and internships that we offer, you can use the link provided in the description of this video. So now let's go to Kaggle and explore it together. For that, you can either click on this link or just type in search bar kaggle.com and you will be redirected to the Kaggle's website. And here on the top left corner, you can see all the five different categories or the sections, whatever you want to call. But before we explore them, let us first create and verify our Kaggle account. For that, you can either click on this register with Google or register with email, whatever suits you the best. Now, I've already created my account here using this register with Google option. It will simply ask you to choose your username that you want to display on your profile, and that's it. Provide that information, and you will be done creating your account on Kaggle. And then the next step is to verify it using a phone number. Now, this is really an important step in order to use facilities like free GPUs, joining a competition, etc. So, for that, you click on the top right of your screen over here and then click on your profile. Now, click on this Edit Public Profile button, and there you can see the phone verification option. They will ask for your phone number on which you will be receiving an OTP. Then you simply submit that OTP and your account will be verified. So I'll just do this step and come back after verification because at times it takes a while for the OTP to be received. Alright, so I'm back and as you can see my account has also been verified. Now we are all set to go ahead and explore all of these different categories one by one. And let us start in the same order and go to the competitions. So this is how this page looks like, where you get options like hosting a competition and all the kind of different categories that is featured, getting started, research, community, and the playground. Now, depending on your skill set, you can choose to take part in them. For beginners, you can use this Getting Started one, and if you are an intermediate, then you can use this Playground series, which contains fun practice problems which you must give it a try. Now, moving ahead, you can see all these other active competitions with some prize money associated with it, where data scientists across the world participates in it and competes with each other. And I strongly encourage you all to try them out as well, irrespective of your level. Not because of the prize, but for the sake of learning and the exposure that you will be getting on these real world problems. Now let me click on any of this competition and show you what all things you usually get there. So here we get an overview about the challenge that we just clicked on, in which we are having this description of the goal of this competition and the context. Then we are having some information about evaluation, as in what metric is going to be used and how should the submission file look like. Then there is the option of timeline, where we can see this competition had started on 5th of December 2022 and will last till 1st March 2023, and all the other things that will happen in between them. Then comes this price section, which might not always be there, but if it is, surely you can pick into it and look into the price distribution as well. And then for this competition, we have some code requirements, which says that this is a code competition. Well, code competition is one of the format of competitions where submissions are made through the code notebooks. And we are just about to make one code notebooks just in a while. But now these are some requirements of that code notebook in order to see the submit option. So this was an overview of the whole competition. Then we have other sections like to access the data for this challenge. Here we can find all the information related to it, including the submission file that we had seen earlier. Then comes this code section, where Kagglers share some of their work related to the challenge, which you can surely go ahead and use it and get some idea about what other people are doing for the same problem. And this is how you learn basically from Kaggle competitions. So for example, this user has performed an exploratory data analysis or ADA in his or her notebook for this particular data set and shared it with the community. So you can take a look into it, browse through it, what all things have been done over here. Then if it helps, then you can also go ahead and upvote it. Well, there is a good reason that you can upvote this kind of good notebooks, which I'll explain some other time. But for now, let's get back to this competition. So the next option we find over here is the discussion, which you can use in case you want some kind of help, if you are looking for a teammate, or just to help someone in any of these ongoing discussions. Then we are also having this leaderboard for this particular challenge, where you can see all the Kagglers who have performed really well being on the top of it. Then there are some kind of rules of these competitions which you need to first read, and then if you're comfortable with it, then click on I understand and accept the rules, which I've already done over here, and hence you can see this particular message. And lastly, you can form your team by clicking over here. Invite your friends or anyone from the Kaggle that you may know and start working together on this challenge. And once you are ready, you can upload the submissions. So the more competitions that you will take part in, the more comfortable you will become every time if you learn from your previous mistakes and eventually build a great data scientist within you. So make a good use of this kind of competitions and actively take part in them. So now let's move on to the next category, which is datasets. Again, here we get the option of creating a new dataset, which you can either share it with the community, as we can see on this particular page done by others, or just keep it private and use it. Now, there are all sorts of domains that you can look for, and if you find some interesting data, then you can go ahead and start working on it right away. So let me just go ahead and type for space over here. And as you can see that these are all the kind of datasets available on the Kaggle which are ready to use. So for now, I'll be picking up this particular datasets of exoplanets and show you how can you start using it. Firstly, you get all the information here about this particular dataset, as in what are some kind of contents of it and what are the kind of files available in this particular data. So for example, here we are having CSV files. Then we can have this other kind of code notebooks of different Kagglers who have used this data and shared their notebooks with the community. Then just like the competitions, you also have the section of discussion, which is specific to this dataset, where in case of any kind of confusion regarding it, you can post it over there or just help others, as I had mentioned in the competition section as well. Now let's look into how you can start using this dataset in your own notebook, and then how can you also share it with the community just like all these other Kagglers. So you simply need to click on this new notebook button. It will redirect us to a fresh Kaggle notebook, and this is actually the next category after the datasets. And now on the right hand side, we can already see that this data set that we're looking onto has been added for us. And there itself, we also have some settings for this notebook where we can choose to set accelerator to any of these available GPUs or TPUs. Of course, in case if we need a huge computational power, or just set it to none to continue using the CPU, which is fine right now, as I'm not really doing that amount of work in this particular notebook. Now note that these GPUs or TPUs have a limit of usage per week, which you also call as the quota, which you can see once you select any of this accelerator. So as you can see, this quota has been set for this particular week to 30 hours. So I need to keep an eye on it, and whenever it's not required, I should turn it off so that I can use it later again whenever the good amount of computational power will be required. Then we also have the option to choose between language of coding, that is in between Python and R. You can select depending on the use case of this notebook. However, for now, I'll just keep it to Python. Then we also have this option of persistence, which can be really very useful in order to persist the variables and files in the situations like, are you still available timeouts or are you still there timeouts, which you can face many times whenever you will start using the Kaggle notebooks. So to avoid losing your variables or files because of such kind of situations, it's always good to set persistence to any of these three available options. Then we also have the notebook environment, which consists of all the package versions installed and ready to use for the data science projects. Then you can also turn on the internet to download an external dataset to analyze or to download any custom Python packages to enhance your coding notebook. Now, after looking at the settings, let us use this dataset to do something in this notebook. So let us first of all change the name of this notebook. And for that, I'll just remove this. And because I'm giving you the demonstration of how to use notebook, let's say that I'm naming it as demo123. And then this is the default code that Kaggle gives to us. Then depending on our use case, you can either choose to keep it or delete it. For now, I'll just simply go ahead and remove it. And now I also know that this dataset consists of some CSV file. Now let's just go ahead and try to read this exotrain.csv file and let's see what can we do after that. So I'll just copy this particular path and I'll just close this thing so that I get good neat clear screen. And because I'm going to use pandas for this, I'll just import pandas as PD and then run this coding cell. So whenever you'll be running your first coding cell in your notebook, it will take few seconds. But yeah, let it run. But by the time, what I'll do is I'll also create a markdown cell and show you what you can do it with the help of it. Over here, you can give some kind of descriptive text regarding of whatever you are doing in the coding cell in a much more proper way, rather than just giving comments inside this coding cell. So what I can say over here is, let's say that I'm giving a heading and saying that I want to keep it into the center of the whole screen and say that this is a demo notebook. And yeah, we can see that this title or the heading has been appeared, and then I can also drag it upwards and keep it over there. And there is also an option of, like, you can just click on X by clicking on this. Once you select this particular cell, you can click on X and it will be deleted. But let's say that now if you want to bring it back, if you are deleted by mistake, then in that case what you can do is you can press escape and Z to bring it back. But now this was about, like, how you can give a heading or some kind of information regarding to what you are doing in the next coding cell and a good description about it. So now let's say that one more markdown cell that I'm creating, and now I'm saying that let let us read the CSV file that we have in the exoplanet data. And then if you want, you can give some kind of bold words, italic words, give some kind of codes and all this kind of other options that we have in the markdown cell. But now let's just go ahead and click on this code and create a new data frame and say that from pandas, I'm going to use a read CSV, and then given this path that I had copied about this exotrain.csv, inside this string over here, and then run this cell. And it's going to create a data frame for me which contains the CSV file data inside that. So now if I click on code and click on df.head, I can see the first 5 rows of this particular data set where we are having different flux values for different exoplanets. That's how you basically use Kaggle datasets and the Kaggle notebooks. And now let's say that if I'm done creating my notebook and I want to share this notebook with, let's say, community or maybe some of my private collaborators, then what I can do is I can click on this share option, and then I get option to choose it as private where I can invite my collaborators or just keep it public. Now let's say that if I want to share it with the public, now what's going to happen is it's going to ask me to save the version before making your notebook public. So what I can do for that is I'll simply click on this cancel button and then click on this save version. And then there are two different ways through which I can save it. First one is save and run all, that is commit, which runs a fresh copy of your notebook and save the output if there are no errors. Whereas the other option, that is quick save, it will save a version of your notebook the way it currently looks like. So even if it has errors, it will still be getting saved. So let me just click on the first option and let's just give some name to this version. Let's say version 1 of Exodata. And then let me click on save. And just keep one thing in mind that this commit is going to be a bit time consuming process, and therefore I just pause the video. But now if you can see over here, the commit has been done successfully, and now I can just click on this share, and now instead of private I can change it to public, and then I can just click on save. And then if I just want to see my notebook just like we had seen of other Kagglers, what I can do is I click on this show version and click on go to viewer. And over here, I can see, just like other Kagglers, in this exoplanet hunting in deep space dataset, I will be having my own notebook published over there. So if I just open this dataset and click on code over here and then look for demo 123. So this is our particular notebook that has been uploaded in this particular dataset. So now, because this is just a fake or just a demo dataset that I had created, I'll simply go ahead and just delete this from this particular dataset. Now I've opened a new Kaggle notebook in order to demonstrate some of the more functionalities that you must know. I won't explain everything, but at least those things that can become very handy to all of you. So inside this file section, I am going to talk about these four options along with this editor type. So now first of all, let me talk about this editor type. So currently we are using the Jupyter notebook version, but now what if I want to use the Python script? So I simply need to click on the script and then it automatically converts it to the Python script. Now let me just change it back to the notebook type. Now what I can do apart from this is I can create a new notebook. Let's say that I don't want to change any of my notebook things over here. So I can simply go ahead and click on this file and click on new notebook and it will redirect to a new page. And over here I'll be getting a new fresh notebook that I can start to work with. And apart from that, we are also having the other options. If I just go back over here to import a notebook from my system to Kaggle, and then in order to, let's say, download this particular notebook to my system, I also have this option to download it. So let me just quickly show it to you. So importing notebook, I can just click on browse files, and then whatever notebook I want to upload, I can simply go ahead and click on import in order to show it to my Kaggle notebook. And then let's see if I want to download this. I click on this download notebook option and it will simply go ahead and download it to my system. But let's say that if you want to link this to your GitHub, then you can also do it by clicking on the file and then link to GitHub. Then just follow the instructions that are given to you over here and it will simply go ahead and just connect it to the GitHub. Then the next thing that comes up is the view. Now let's say that if you want to change this theme from light to dark, you can simply come to this view and inside this edited theme, you can choose dark. Now quickly, without wasting much more time, what I have done is I have clicked on this particular coding cell and went to view and then clicked on hide cell from viewers and then click on hide input. So what it's going to do is this particular input of the code cell is going to be hidden when I look into the saved version of it. So I've already saved it for you. And if I now click on this show version and then click on go to viewer, and over here inside this notebook, you will be able to see that this particular code cell has been hidden automatically. But then you can manually again click on it to see it. So that's something that I really wanted to show in case if there are some kind of things that the code is pretty much long. You don't really want anyone or from the community to see it. You just want to show you the overall the output. Then this could be a pretty handy thing. And apart from that, let's say in order to debug your code, if you want to have the line numbers written next to your coding cell. So what you can do is you can click on view and click on this toggle line numbers and you will be seeing this kind of options right in front of you. Then apart from it, you also have this run options where you can run a particular current cell by clicking on it, or else you can run your whole notebook just by clicking on run all. Now let's say that if you want to just restart your whole notebook and clear all the kind of outputs that you can see, then there is the option. If you go to run, there is an option of restart and clear cell outputs. You can click that. But now what if you want to just start your session from scratch? So for that, you can go ahead and click on run and click on stop session. It's just going to stop your session over there. And then you can either individually run your code cells that you want to run, or just click on run all. It will just going to just start your session from the scratch. As you can see, session is starting message has been appeared over here. Apart from that, you can add some of the add-ons using these options, and that's pretty much about the notebook that I really wanted to explain. Apart from that, there is also one more thing over here. That is, if I there is an error over here because we did not run this cell and directly run this cell after restarting the session, and that's the reason we are getting this error. So if I run this cell first, and now if I run this cell, you can see that the error has gone. And one last thing that I really wanted to talk about inside this Kaggle notebook is the session matrix. So for that, I click on this particular option, and over here I get all the idea about what is the consumption of the disk, CPU, RAM, and for how long the session is running, and what is the current accelerator that I'm using. So yes, that is pretty much about this notebooks. And now we can move on towards the new category, that is discussions. So when I just click on this discussions, it will redirect me to the Kaggle discussions. And over here, you can choose from varieties of different discussions that are going on. Let's say from journal, then from getting started, product feedback. If you are using some kind of products of Kaggle and if you're finding some difficulties, you can surely share your feedback over here. Then hosting some kind of competitions if you're having some issues. If you want to learn about how to host competitions, you can go ahead and create a discussion over here or just contribute to the discussions. And that is pretty much about the discussions that you can do. And last but not the least, if you want to start learning courses from Kaggle, you can do it by clicking on this learn option. And then over here, you can find all the kind of different courses that you can look into. And let's say if you want to learn intro to programming, then you can simply go ahead and click onto it. And then you will be able to find different tutorials, different lessons, and exercises that will help you in order to strengthen your concepts. And then once you are going to complete this whole course, you will also be getting certified for the same. And now you are all set to start your journey of Kaggle by all of this information that you have learned over here. Because now you know how to take part into different competitions, how to use different data sets of Kaggle, how to use coding notebooks, then just in case if you are stuck into some kind of problem, then how you can take part into different discussions. And then let's say that if you want to upskill yourself by learning some new course, you can also do it with the help of Kaggle. So now with that being said, there is one more thing that is left that I'll not talk about in this particular video. I'll keep it for some other video. That is the progression system of Kaggle. So if you remember, I talked about the upvoting the notebooks. Similarly, there are different upvotes for discussions, comments, data sets, competitions, all these kind of things. So based on this kind of upvotes, you get different kind of medals, that is bronze, silver, and gold. And then with the help of this kind of specific bunch of medals, you get different tiers. So now this is one whole new thing that you should know, but I'll be making some separate video based on this. But for now, you are all set to start your journey of Kaggle, and I wish you all the best. And if there is some confusion that you have not understood from this video, do let us know in the comments below, and also share it with your friends in order to help them also start their journey of data science through Kaggle.